Do you wish to play or do you wish not to play?
I'll play.
There you go. So the object of the game is I'm going to ask you to name me three of something, and you have 5 seconds to name it. The clock will start once I tell you to name me those three things. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So we know that you are in the medical field, right?
Yes.
So you're in a lot of hospitals and things like that. If you go down range, maybe a couple of caches, combat support hospitals, right?
Yes.
So
Correct.
you should be very fluent when it comes to hospital operations, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I need you to name me three sections that you would find in a hospital. Go.
Patient administration, surgery, and emergency department.
Whoa, 4.14 seconds. Okay. Hey, Sarn, on behalf of my advisors, my entire Ncopd Live team, thank you for taking the opportunity to come on tonight and be on the show with us. I know you're super excited, but my team and myself are excited to have you. And at this time, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Ma'am, the mic is yours.
So I'm first class TAKEYSHA Washington. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Been in the Army for, it'll be 17 years next week. I don't know. My hobbies include riding motorcycles with my husband. I'm married, kids. We have 5 kids. That's pretty much it.
So you and the hubby
Go
ride
go
motorcycles.
Jayhawks.
So y'all, that was a great quick show tonight. Next week we'll have on. I can't stand KU. You do know that they lost to Texas in the last
Yes.
game, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
this interview is already starting off wrong. She's a KU fan, and I can't stand KU. So you and the hubby ride motorcycles for hobbies?
We do. Yes.
So what kind of motorcycles do you guys have?
So I have a Gixxer 750, and he has a Yamaha R6.
Okay. Does he leave you when he's riding?
Actually, I leave him. He's the more careful rider. I'm more adventurous. So
Wow. Okay. Well, motorcycles for hobby. Hey, I appreciate that. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show. So tonight, this whole month, we're styling this around women's history, and we want to take some opportunity and take the time out to talk to some great female leaders out there that's doing a great thing. So we got a couple things we want to talk about. So I understand that you were a jump master.
I am. Yes.
You still are.
Once a jump master, always a jump
Always
master.
a jump master.
Yes.
Well, I guess I should say that you used to teach at the course.
I did. Yes, I taught at the basic airborne course. Yes, sir.
Wow. So you normally don't. That's one thing you normally don't see females teaching at that course.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that. How did that come about?
It's a funny story that's not so funny. So I was already stationed at Fort Benning, and I was in the 14th Cache at the time. My sergeant major. First of all, I'm terrified of heights. Anybody that knows me knows this, so it's very important to the story. But I was doing PT. Our sergeant major at the time, he liked to do PT with, like, he would just pick people out of the battalion to do PT with, and we went and did an obstacle course. And one of the obstacles required us to climb over a very high wall. I'm scared of heights, so I asked him, "Do we all have to do this, Sergeant Major?" And he said, "Yeah." So I got up to the top of the wall, and I froze, because I looked down and I was like, "I'm not getting off this wall." So the group ended up helping me get off the wall. And when I got off the wall, Sergeant Major was like, what happened? What happened up there? What was wrong? Like, why couldn't you get over the obstacle? And I said, well, Sergeant Major, I'm terrified of heights. So then he asked me, well, why did you go over the wall? And I said, because you said we all had to do it. So I did it. And then later, after the PT session, when we were back at the battalion, he said, I have a way to get you over your fear of heights. And I'm like, okay, what is this, Sergeant Major? And he said, I'm gonna send you to airborne school. Um, but I'm scared of heights, so jumping out of planes is not. That's not my idea of getting over my fear. But I went. I got my badge, and I said, never again. Have no intentions of going to an airborne unit. I hope they never send me. And then I got promoted to sergeant, and he sent me over to the airborne school. They were looking for female instructors because at the time they only had one, and she was about to leave. So he sent me over there to interview for the position, and I got the position. And I was there for 3 years as an instructor, 2 as a jump master. Um, I hope there's no drill sergeant majors out there listening, but that was probably the best job I've ever had in the Army, and I would go back and do that again in a heartbeat. So,
Well, sergeant majors and drill sergeants and jump masters that are listening, make sure you look her up. Are you do the PCS anytime soon?
I am. I'm supposed to PCS in September. I don't know where I'm going yet, but
If you get a jump assignment, I want to know about it because I'm going to come on in September and be like, you remember this young lady we had on the show that said she was terrified of heights and blah
I'm
blah 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 blah.
still terrified
Hey,
of
but you
heights.
so your first jump, tell me this. I have to know.
Oh my
What
god.
was yeah? Hey, this is Women History Month. Anything can be asked here on Ncopd Live. We didn't send you any scripted questions too, did we?
No, no, you
See,
did
this is the
not.
purpose. This is the purpose of that. We flow with the how the interview is going. So your first jump.
Okay, my first jump, they made me the number one jumper because anybody that knows me knows that I might not say anything, but my face is gonna tell you exactly what I'm thinking. So I was terrified. And I could not hide it off my like I was pale, my eyes were wide, like I looked terrified. So the jump master, um, he pointed to me and said, "You're number one, right?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to be number one." But he ended up when we stood up, he pulled me to the front so that I was the number one jumper. And I'm telling you, when they say stand by and they put you in that door for those last 30 seconds or so, 25, 30 seconds, that is the longest 30 seconds of my life. And I was to the point where I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. But when that green light came on, he tapped me and said go, and I just went. Like my legs just went. I didn't think about it. I tried not to. My eyes were closed, and I was like, and this is how I go out. But it ended up being great. Like once I got out of the aircraft and my parachute opened and I slowed down, everything just got really quiet, and that's when I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm still scared, but I can do this, right? So it turned out to be a really good jump,
So
but
I
I'm
have to
still
ask.
still terrified.
So we're gonna get her on. We're gonna get her on jump status. Get her on the jump assignment. Uh, so I got to ask this: did you stick the landing?
I did. So I am what you call a floater. I'm very light, so I'm one of those jumpers that just kind of floats down, ever so gently. And then
Mhm.
most of my landings are pretty soft because there's not a whole lot of me. So I used to tell people if you see me falling faster than you, or if you're falling faster than me, then just look around before you pull your reserve because I'm not gonna fall as fast as everybody because I'm lighter. So
Right.
my husband used to be able to pick me out whenever I would jump. He would on Friar Drop Zone. He could pick me out because he knew, oh, that's my wife right there. She's the one that's still high up in the sky. He would tell people that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this quick story. So my fear when I was growing up was I couldn't swim, and I was terrified. I was terrified of it.
Hmm.
I never wanted to learn how to swim. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I'll never forget this, and it's still traumatic to this day. I can't even believe my dad. Like, why would you do your son like this? I still think that my dad probably didn't love me at the moment, but I'm just joking. So I will never forget this. Houston, Texas. I was a little kid. My dad came and picked us up for a weekend,
Hmm.
and we went to this park called Dewson Park. I'll never forget. It's on the north side of Houston. We go to Dewson Park, and Dewson Park has this big lake out there. So we're on the side, we're out there fishing and whatever. And so I don't know how the conversation came up about swimming. And my dad was like, "You gonna learn how to swim today, boy. You gonna learn how to swim today." And I was like, "Daddy, no, I don't want to learn how to swim." And all y'all better not come on here joking that you can't swim, right? So I'm like, "Dad, I don't want to know how to swim. I want to know how to swim." My dad grabbed me from the back, two hands in the small of my back, and threw me in the lake. I was just, oh my God. And all I can remember, I was like, ah, splash and hit the water, right? So I'm kicking and I'm kicking. And my dad said, quit fighting the water, quit fighting the water. I'm like, what else what am I supposed to do? But then I realized I wasn't going to the bottom. And so I'm just sitting there floating and I'm doggy pedaling and trying to swim and get back to, oh my God, it was terrifying. And now, be it that I know how to swim, that's I'm not gonna say it's one of my top 20, but it's something I like to do whenever I got some spare time and I, go swim. But I was terrified of the water. I didn't want to know how to swim. So, but that's neither here nor there. But we're going to talk a little bit about women's history and some of the accomplishments that you've made. Like you said, you jump master and taught at the jump master. I mean, at the jump school, at the airborne school. But I want to look at, when we look at women's history, and in today's military, we very seldomly see those female leaders that are accomplished like yourself, to be able to sit in certain key billets. And I understand right now you're the senior enlisted advisor to emergency medicine, right?
Yes.
So that seems like a pretty big position. So I want you to talk to me and the followers tonight about how did you come into that position, and then I have a follow-on question behind that.
So when I first got here, I was supposed to go to a different department, but I'm kind of a firecracker. And so Sergeant Major at the time, she put me over here because there were some issues between the civilians, some of the officer counterparts, and the enlisted. There was like a divide, and she wanted me to kind of try to bring in, be an advocate between the enlisted, the officers, and the civilians, and kind of bring everybody together. Because the department was going through, they had just lost the chief. He retired. The SEL had my predecessor had just gotten here. And they were just going through a big regime change, and it reflected in some of the way the staff was on the floor in the clinic. And so when I first got here, I worked the floor. I strictly worked the floor. I was the floor sergeant. And we had to have a coming to Jesus because the enlisted weren't happy. Things were not getting accomplished. Our wait times were just astronomically horrible. We got a lot of patient complaints about how the staff was treating patients and how the bedside manner was it was atrocious. So I had to really sit down. We had a staff meeting. We brought in a team from outside. They did like a little sensing session about the morale of the staff here. So now I try to make sure that I talk to people, because I've learned that is the biggest thing for some people. Like, you can literally walk by somebody who comes to this place, been here for 30 years, right? 25, 30 years, and nobody ever says good morning to that person, right? Nobody ever pays attention to like the housekeeping people, like, hey, can you come mop this? And that's all they get. They don't get a good morning. They don't get a how you're doing. And something as small as that really resonates with people. So I do try to make sure, even now that I'm in the senior enlisted leader position, I walk the floor, the clinic, every day. If I have to do it early, if I have to do it before I go home, at some point I try to get eyes on my staff. I'm gonna speak to them. I'm gonna talk to them. I'm gonna ask them, and it's not just a hey, how you doing? And it's that, that flyby where you're like, hey, how you doing? And you just keep it moving. No, hey, how you doing? How's your family doing? How are your kids? How's your husband? How's your wife? So and so just had a baby. How's the baby doing? You got pictures? And I'm genuinely interested in what they want to talk about, right?
Mhm.
whether it's something that I'm interested in or not. We have one provider here who, when I first got here, everybody's like, "Oh no, you're not gonna get along with him. He doesn't like anybody." And our first interaction, he was talking about hunting. He likes to hunt. He was talking about hunting to somebody else, and I'm like, "Oh, okay. What do you hunt? Like, what do you like to hunt?" And it was literally that one question. It like
Mhm.
we're tight, like from that first conversation, because I showed interest in his hobby, right? And nobody no people people forget that at the end of, I need you to do your job, but you're also a human being, and I understand that it's not just about coming in, punching the clock, dealing with patients day in day out. We were at the height of COVID at the time, and so a lot of the staff were burnt out. And it's just like that little thing. Hey ma'am, how you doing today? How you doing? I brought donuts for everybody this morning. I brought
Mhm.
coffee for everybody this morning. Happy Nurses Week, happy Physicians Day, happy Administrative Assistant Day, things like that. I keep a joke of the day, and everybody, I know my homegirl is watching right now, and she's probably gonna roll her eyes when I say this, but I have a joke of the day that I keep on my board, a dad joke. I post a different dad joke every day, and when I first started doing it, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, these jokes are so lame." But literally now, it's been a few months. There are people who come every morning. They come to see what the joke of the day is, right? And um, most of the staff in the hospital know that if you come to Summer First Class Washington's office, she's got a joke, she's got some candy. You can have a seat on her couch, and if you whatever you need, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to take care of you, right?
Mhm.
So that is what I think has kind of that is how I think I've impacted this department, because I am slowly changing a culture, right? And it hasn't been easy. I still got some hard hearts that I have to kind of soften, but I can see them getting softer. I can see them opening up a little bit more. There's people in this department that wouldn't say two words to me when I first got here, and I at least like they come up to me, "Hey, Son Washington, how you doing today? Did you have a good weekend?" And vice versa, because I'm gonna talk to you. You don't
Mhm.
have to talk back, but I want you to see, even if you don't talk back to me, I'm still gonna ask you every day, "How you doing?" "I'm fine." "Okay." How was your weekend?" "It was good." "Okay." And then tomorrow, "Hey, how you doing? How was your evening? What did you get into last night?" "I'm
Right.
good." And like slowly those people have started kind of opening up a little bit more to me, right? Because they
Mhm.
realize that I genuinely care about them just as
Right.
much as I care about this department. And as a result, our wait times have gone down. The bedside manner, we don't get the complaints that we used to get. A lot of people, in fact, we get more ACE. They're called ACE cards, like which is like compliments and like rewards for employees,
Right.
because somebody nominates them for giving exceptional service. And then we also have what's called vital signs cards, which are like comment cards, and we get more positive comment cards overall for our department than negative. And when I first got here, that's all we got. It'd be 10 of them in my inbox. 10,
Mhm.
just all negative stuff, And so I realized you have to change the culture, right? Everything's now, me, I, right? We're coming out of the other side of a pandemic. People are burnt out, people are tired, people are stressed, people mental health is becoming a big issue, right? Because people are still trying to adjust to the changes that COVID has created for us, right?
Right.
And it's my job to make them feel like I understand what you're going through. I empathize with what you're going through, and I'm here if you need that moment. I'm here if you need to step away. I'm here. I am a leader who is here for you, not the other way around. You don't work for me. I work for you. What can I do for you today?
Okay. So before I ask you the second question, because you kind of hit on it as far it relates to culture, and that's my next question. But so the dad jokes. What was the dad joke for today? Or what was the one
So
for you?
today's dad joke is which celebrity is always ready for cereal?
Which is it an answer to it for real?
There's an answer. Yes. Which celebrity is always ready for cereal? And I know my homegirl is rolling her eyes right now.
Who's the homegirl?
So Sergeant First Class Ashley Jackson, that's my homegirl.
Okay.
She comes to my office every day to
Okay.
see this joke, and she fusses at me like, "Who picked this joke?"
Which celebrity
And I know
is
she's
always
online right now,
ready?
like, I can't believe she putting this joke out there.
Well, so you know what, Sergeant Jackson, I asked the battle. So, which celebrity is always ready for cereal?
Hmm.
I want to say somebody with name Kellogg, but who?
It's Reese Witherspoon.
Um,
Reese with her spoon. Reese Witherspoon.
moving on.
But I love them. I love them because they're so
That
corny.
is whack.
Everybody chuckles, right?
It got a chuckle
So
out of me, but Reese with her spoon.
because it's silly, right? It breaks up some of the monotony. It breaks the ice a little bit, right? Like even if you're having see, I know she go comment.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Reese with her spoon.
Reese Witherspoon, yes.
Oh my god! That was, and I can't believe I'm still sitting there laughing because it's it's lame, but it's funny,
It's
man. Like,
funny. I
oh my
told you.
god,
See, and
that
so
is
now, like
battle. That
now,
is
like
not a
it's
conversation starter. Reese with her spoon.
well, and so now people bring me dad jokes. Like I'm telling you, it's a hospital. Why everybody in the hospital knows that I have a board and my board has a joke on it and I change it every day. So
So,
everybody knows that.
hey, let me remind me to bring up. I don't know if we're gonna do dad jokes, but we may do something like that, like on a Thursday or something. We may have a prize to give away. But just remind me to talk to Jessica about that. I'm talking to the guy in my ear. Okay, so you were talking about culture, and
Hmm.
this was my next question. So you were put into this intense culture where the culture needed a dynamic shift.
Hmm.
And this is kind of where I want to guide this conversation as far as because we have exceptional female leaders out there like yourself, that when you put them in these climates, you put them in these cultures, they're able to bring a dynamic like maybe a male counterpart that couldn't. And this is why I advocate for females, given the opportunity to be put into these situations, they can excel as leaders because believe it or not, like I said, you guys bring a different dynamic than males do in certain cultures. So
Hmm.
I want you to talk to, if you could talk to the youngest soldier that may be sitting here and saying, "Oh, I could never probably be like her. I could never, probably, get that position or something like that." What would be your message to a junior leader out there that's listening that may be self-doubting themselves to ever be able to reach those certain positions?
Um, to that soldier, I would say I challenge you to say yes. Because for every soldier out there that is afraid to take that step, to go to these schools, to do these things, there's a leader out there willing to invest in that soldier. And that's what happened to me. Somebody saw my potential, right? And he invested in me. And it's not necessarily about the badges. That's just a perk of going to the school. For me, it's what I learned while I was in the school. When I went to airborne school, I learned to be um, more mentally tough, right? So when I was an instructor, I used to tell my students I had no problem telling them I'm scared of heights, and people look even now. I'm a jump master, and people look at me like I'm crazy because I'm like, yeah, I'm scared of heights. I'm terrified. And they're like, how? You know, being terrified of heights is okay. That fear is 100% okay. Don't think that you're weak because you fear something like that. That's totally normal. You're supposed to be scared of being 1,200 feet in the air and you're about to jump out of that bad boy, right? That's not normal. But what airborne school taught me was how to work through that fear. I can still do my points of performance. I can still, do what I need to do in the air, on the ground, while I'm in the aircraft. Even though my heart is like beating out of my chest. I got like the bubble guts going on, that feeling in your gut when you're scared, and like I'm sweating, my eyes are like this wide, but I'm still able to work through what I need to do to get the mission accomplished. I'm still able to work through that stuff. Now, that absolutely helped me in my career with other things. So I hated public speaking, even though like I've had so many jobs that require me to like speak in front of people. Airborne school instructor. I had a class that I had to, and I had one of the classes where I spoke to the entire class of 500 plus students at one time, right? And I had the very first class. So I set the tone for the other instructors, right? No pressure there, right? I hated speaking in front of people, but that taught me like, even though I'm terrified to do that, you can work through that fear and still manage to succeed and look confident doing it, even if on the inside you are like a duck, calm on the surface, but the feet underneath are going crazy like this underneath, right? And that's what airborne school taught me. Air assault school taught me that I was stronger than I ever thought I could be, right? And even when I went to Rappel Master, it had been a hot minute since I rappelled between my last rappel at Benning and when I went to Rappel Master last year. And I got to Rappel Master school and I'm like, dang, do I still know how to do a Swiss seat? Am I going to be able to get these knots right? But I got through it. I learned to think through that stuff. Jump Master, Pathfinder, they taught me how to think slow everything down, especially Jump Master. Jump Master taught me how to slow everything down and focus on what you're looking at. Don't focus on this thing over here. Don't focus on that thing over there. Focus on the thing in front of you and only that thing, and you're going to catch what you need to catch, right? And so the badges to me were a bonus, right? But the things that I learned from those schools as a leader, as an NCO, really, really helped me as I progressed in my career, right? And now I can talk to people. I can go in front of people and be more confident. I don't have to boast or brag about my accomplishments because they obviously speak for themselves. But when I walk into a room, people look at me, people see me, it has nothing to do with my badges and everything to do with my presence as a leader. Everybody knows there's people here that, like, everybody in this hospital knows that if you need something done and you go to Sarn Washington, she's going to make it happen. And if she can't make it happen, she's going to find somebody, or she's going to do the due diligence to get where it needs to be. So, like, for those junior soldiers out there, even NCOs, if you're, because some of us are like, oh, I'm too old to go to air assault school. I'm too old to go to EF&B. I'm a SAR major now. I don't need EF&B. Go. You're not going just for yourself, right? And a lot of leaders, when I was younger, especially, and even now, all over, you see it on social media. They're like, airborne is, it ain't nothing. I don't understand the hype. Blah 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 blah. And they won't send their soldiers to airborne school, or they won't send their soldiers to air assault school because I'm scared of heights. Why do you don't need airborne? We're in 4th ID. We don't need airborne in 4th ID. Kick rocks. I'm scared of heights, so you're not going to airborne school. They project their fears on their soldiers. And, next thing you know, the soldier's been in the unit for 2 or 3 years. They're a specialist about to PCS or ETS, and all they have to show for it is BLC, maybe, right? They don't have anything when they move on to that next unit. They don't have any experiences outside of, I spent 2 years in a motor pool doing layouts for these FLAs. Like, I really didn't learn anything. We went to NTC once, we went to JRTC once, but I spent the last 3 years in the field twiddling my thumbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to invest in those junior soldiers. We have to. Like, do they want to do it? No. Did I want to go to airborne school? No.
Right.
Blank no. I did
You
not want to go to airborne school. And even when I was in airborne school, I'm like, why? Why? Why am I here? How, reevaluating my life choices on day zero. Like, why? How did I end up here? Right. But
Mhm.
3 weeks later, when I got the badge, I felt like I really accomplished something and I learned something about myself. And that made me hungry for more. What else can I learn? What else can I do? What else can I achieve, right? And when I came back, because I was a specialist when I went to airborne school. When I came back from airborne school, I was
Wow.
ready to work. I was ready to work. What do you need me to do, Sarn? I got it. My motivation was completely different. And I was ready to work. I was ready to eat. I was ready to, what do you need me to do, Sarn? Let me give me some more responsibility. Give me something else, because the Army had given me something to build up my confidence and build up my skills. And it gave me something to belong to, right? You know, once
You
once a parachutist, always a parachutist.
well,
So
yeah. You are, but based on some of the things that you've told me, just sitting by here listening to you, and this brings up a good question. Um, it seems if the looking on the outside, listening to what I'm hearing, and if I'm looking at your records, you are positioning yourself to be a great, successful leader. And be it if you stay in the services, um, more than likely you're going to get promoted. And here's where some of the things that we miss, and I talked about this a little bit on SMA Tilly's podcast, and this is one of the reasons why I advocate for female leaders. They don't get those positions, those key senior enlisted leader positions. And if I'm listening to what you're telling me, you're pretty much positioning yourself to be a great leader. And this is just from some first class Hicks. I feel that some of our female leaders get overlooked because they're females. So my question to you is if you could talk to some SMA, because I'm pretty sure that they look at this. Yes, yes. We have those questions on this platform because we want to hear, and your voice matters. If you could look and speak to SMA Grinston right now, and I'm sure and I'm hoping this question gets to him. If you could look and speak to SMA Grinston right now, and what would be one of the things you would like to say to him about female leaders out there that could potentially get to some of those key senior enlisted leader positions? What would you like to see as a female who's pretty much positioning herself to one day potentially have the one of those positions? What would you say to him?
don't count us out. We're here. We exist. We're ready. We're hungry. We will eat if you give us a chance, and we won't disappoint you.
Okay.
We will definitely step up to the challenge, and we will crush it.
Okay. That's very direct because
Mhm.
I agree. There are a whole lot of female senior enlisted leaders, and I want to bring one to mind. And I always use her. I got you. I want to use her for an example. Command Sergeant Major Knapp. No one.
Mhm.
I I'm going to say this. I don't believe anyone saw this coming. That the first female key senior enlisted leader of 101st, a
Yep.
female, that was a ceiling breaking moment in the Army and even for our female counterparts. And then I'll use another one. Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass, the
Mhm.
first key senior enlisted leader of the entire Air Force. That was groundbreaking. That was momentum. That was
Yep.
momentous. So when you say that, hey, SMA, if I could say something to you, hey, give us the opportunity, give us the chance, because
Don't count us
put us,
out.
you don't count us out because you never
Mhm.
know until you put us in there. And I think it's females like you and other females that are out there that are just hungry and waiting for the opportunity. And you were put into a situation, into an environment where the culture was, like you said, it was astronaut. It was atrocious.
Mhm.
And hey, I heard about that. I heard about that. I'll get with you after this. Um, you were put into this situation where the climate was just atrocious. And now you're starting to reshape that culture in that hospital or that clinic where you are, and you're a female leader. And that's the key. That's the key thing I want to highlight this month, that there are female leaders out there that are just waiting to get the opportunity. So my question to you is this: for those females like yourself, you were just able to look into the camera and speak to SMA, and I believe that this message is going to get to him. So if you get an email from him,
Oh Lord.
shoot me a message. Like, he emailed me. But to those females out there that may be ahead of you, that are still sitting there waiting in anguish or waiting in anticipation, what is your message to them? Because some of them may be thinking of throwing the towel. They're not gonna pick me. What is your message to them? A young leader like yourself that's hungry.
Sometimes you have to we tend to put ourselves on a pedestal, or we perceive ourselves to be greater than what we may actually be sometimes. And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but I've seen it quite a few times where leaders, the OML comes out and people aren't happy with their OML number, right? And instead of like going to somebody that may have a better OML number and saying, hey, let's see what do I need to do to get your number? How can I get that number, right? Or how can I get that most qualified, right? Show me, right? And that person may be, I'm a sergeant first class with almost 17 years time in service. That sergeant first class that has a better OML may only have 10 years time in service, right? But I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be like, what is your plan? Let me write down your plan. How did you get where you are? And I'm gonna be humble enough to go to that person who may have who obviously has something that I don't. How do I get better? And then I get better. I don't just, it's not going to happen overnight. Change does not happen overnight for anything, right? Like habits take time to build. If it's PT, if it's if it's your schools, if it's civilian education, you have to work at those things to be better, right? And then find some good mentors, right? I have a lot of senior NCO mentors, but I also have officer mentors, right? Like real officer mentors who guide me on my experience, how I can be a better senior enlisted advisor for my officer counterpart, right? Because you're mentoring them too. I always make sure that for me, when people ask me about, you're Pathfinder, like, let's talk about it. I keep my study guides for air assault, for jump master, for Pathfinder, all of it's in my office. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, yeah, I want to go to air assault school. Okay, let's talk about a plan. What you want to talk about? Let's go over some nomenclature, right? Even for something like the board, right? And it doesn't have to be a subordinate, or it doesn't have to be a superior. I learn so much from my soldiers every day. Just new things to add to the tool belt. And I tell them that, I'm adding that to the tool belt. That was good. Thank you, Private so and so. You have to step outside of yourself sometimes and just focus on your path, right? But you can nobody gets anywhere by themselves. Everybody has help. Everybody. Even SMA got help to get where he was at. He had a mentor, he had a leader, he had somebody that invested in him, and he invested in himself. And if you continue to invest in yourself, don't give up, and understand that this time may not be your time, but next time it will be your time. And even if you like one of my battle buddies just put in her packet for OCS. She didn't get accepted this time. She didn't come out on this list. So she's like, well, fine, I just want to do OCS. And I'm like, why? put in another packet. You got time.
Mm-hmm.
Go over the AAR comments, see what they were denying people for, and then make sure that none of those things apply to you, and then reapply. Do what you need to do. Do you need to get a better PT score? Do you need to, and then understand that um there are some things that there are some standards that people don't like and they want to change it. No, right now this is the standard, you need to meet it. For example, the ACFT. People grumble and gripe and complain about, well, I'm too old to be doing all this, or, if that's what it takes to get ahead, then I'll just get out. Or just meet the standard that you need to meet, and understand that ACFT is held in high regard, right? PT will always be held in a high regard because physical fitness is a condition of our employment. My mentor used to say that all the time. My boss used to say that all the time. He still says it all the time. Physical fitness is a condition of your employment. You're called soldier athletes for a reason. Athletes need to be in great shape, right? So you need to be able to perform on your ACFT. And if you don't perform well on your ACFT, then you can't expect to be higher, get a better OML number if your counterparts are scoring much higher. They're doing more on their ACFT, and that to me, right at this moment in time, is not a male female thing. It's a soldier thing. And then you got to show up. I show up for my soldiers. We do PT. I do not have my soldiers do something that I wouldn't do myself. I go out on that floor and I treat patients when we're short. There's plenty of times where I'm like, hey, so and so, hey ma'am, hey sir, I can't go to this meeting because we need coverage on the floor. So the soldiers and sailors, because we're a joint command, we got soldiers, sailors, and airmen here. So they can go, so I can rotate them out for chow, so they can get their chow time. I'm gonna work the floor for lunch, and then just take some notes, and I'll send you my notes to put out in that meeting, right? We have to be present for our soldiers, right? And there's a balance there, right? There's a balance, but it can be done. It can be done. It can be done.
Let me ask you this. So SMA calls down to HRC tomorrow. HRC says, okay, and SMA says, hey, I want Sergeant First Class Washington to go take this key senior enlisted leader position, a decorated position. And as a female, I want to know from you, what value added do you have when you have a seat at the table? What value do you bring when you have, or if given the opportunity to have the seat at the table?
My experience, I think that my experience as a soldier throughout my career, some of the things that I've been through, some of the things that I've seen, some of the changes that have happened in the Army, I feel like I can advocate for those coming after me. I feel like I can set an example so that SMA, whatever his opinion is of females, he may have a good opinion, he may have a bad opinion, but he will see that, like I said earlier, we're here, we exist, we're out here, we're ready. We need the opportunity. Give us a chance to step up and rise to the occasion, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed at all.
Dream job or position that you would like to have in the military?
I want to go back to the airborne school.
Now, you just sat here and said all of this about all these senior leaders, if you're watching, but if that was a dream position, like before you got out of the military, so not like a brigade sergeant major as a female, not like
Yeah, I mean, I would take a brigade or even a division. I mean, only because those jobs, there's a lot to be said when you see yourself in those positions, right? Like, um, um, we don't have the representation that we should have, considering the percentage of females that are in the military, the percentage of females that are in leadership positions, strategic level, nominative level positions, officer and enlisted. is very, very, very small. And I know that our numbers get much, much smaller as you go up in the ranks. But one of my officer mentors, like I wanted to put in a packet to be an officer. I wanted to put in a PA packet, and she told me not to do that. She said, not because I don't think that you'll make a great officer. I think you'll make an excellent officer. But the Army needs senior NCOs like you, female senior NCOs. So these junior soldiers can see what right looks like. They can see that there's still enlisted um, females who can and will and do take the hill. And we represent, and we deserve just as much of a seat at the table as our male counterparts do. And when we are at the table, we handle ourselves very well. So I would take one of those hard positions um, that nobody wants to take. I would definitely love to be a brigade sergeant major or even a division sergeant major. I would I would I would love that because I want people to see me and say females, young females to say I could do that.
Right.
That could be me someday, right? It gives us hope, right? It gives females hope that what they're doing, oh well, I guess I'll just stop at the battalion level. I can't go any higher than that, or there's no possibility of me being, like we we have sergeants major, female sergeants major at the nominative levels, and the pool is so small, especially in the medical world. The pool of females medical sergeants major is so small, and every time I see a female sergeant major, it just makes me proud. Every time I see a senior female officer, it makes me proud because they're paving the way for me so that one day we will have a female SMA, and it could be, it ain't, I don't think it's going to be me, but it could be within my lifetime,
Mhm.
and not my Army lifetime necessarily, but while I'm still on this earth, I could potentially look on the news and see, Sergeant Major so and so will be the first female Sergeant Major of the Army. And that will be a great day. Like when we can stop saying first female, first person, first female of color, when we can stop saying that and it becomes a normal
A
thing,
normality. Yeah.
that's when I'll be satisfied.
So I do believe, so I don't know if you're familiar with the name. You should be. She's very well known in the airborne community. So on first class, Janina Simmons.
Yes.
I
Yes, I
I I do believe she will be the first SMA of the Army. I totally believe that. Um, but I do believe that. But you hit on our last point that I want to talk about as far as breaking barriers. So when you see a Sergeant First Class Janina, I mean a Master Sergeant. Oop, don't get mad at me, sis. Don't get mad at me. When you see Master Sergeant Janina Simmons, when you see a Sergeant First Class Latoya Green, when you see Command Sergeant Major Knapp, when you see Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Joanne Bass, that these leaders, and even though that's just to name a few, but when you see these leaders, these female leaders breaking barriers, my final question to you is how does that make you feel, and what type of hope and optimism does that give you?
honestly, it gives me hope that we we still have a ways to go, but we're breaking those barriers. Like we are literally running through those brick walls and we're tearing them down, and we're showing that we're females. We may not be infantry, we may not be in the combat arms world or whatever, but we still have value. We still bring something to the table that
Right.
deserves to be there. That could potentially um be, I don't want to say better, but it's a different perspective that some of our male counterparts, there's things that we deal with that they don't even have to think about, you
Hmm.
know. And so that perspective, that experience, um kind of gives us an edge because we know how to deal. We can work under pressure. We can work under adverse um, conditions. And I promise you, those women that you named, all of those women have been the only, right? At some point, if not multiple points. And I can resonate with that because I've been the only. At one point when I first got to the airborne school as an instructor, I was the only female instructor in the battalion. You know, when I went to jump master school, I was the only female in the class. When I went to Pathfinder school, I was the only female in the class. You know, um, and you know, it's hard to be the only because you know they can't relate. There's things that you want to talk about that your counterparts cannot relate to, right? And so you have to you have to adapt to that environment so
Right.
that you don't ostracize yourself, right? But you at the same time you show them, you know, quietly, professionally, humbly, you know, I can do this just like you can do this, right? And the people that know, the people that get it, the people that understand, and the people that don't, they 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 don't, you know. And so to see these women like taking a sledgehammer to these barriers, taking a sledgehammer to that glass ceiling and breaking it and taking it and like raising it, it just makes me proud of this organization. It just makes me proud of them. um I've met all of them, um and to see them in action, to see them interact, to see them speak, to hear them speak, to be in their presence, you can feel that these women are pioneers. You can feel that these women deserve where they are and more,
Right.
right? They deserve to be at that table, and they're sitting at that table doing this, pulling up another. Come on, girl, come sit at this table with me. It's plenty of room, right? They're not just sitting up there like, no, 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 I can't bring anybody else. No, they want to bring others up to the table, others like them to the table, so that again, when it's all said and done, we're not having this conversation. It's normal, right? To see us at the table, to see us together with our male counterparts at that same table, collaborating, making the Army better, moving into the future, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I so I it is at the top of the hour, and believe it or not, that went by very quick, didn't it?
it
Uh,
did.
but so I want to get your final thoughts, comments, anything you would like to share with the viewers, any shout outs to your team. The mic is yours.
So I just want to thank all of my friends, battle buddies, friends of friends, everybody that tuned in tonight. I was super excited about doing this. Super nervous, because you do have a lot of I don't want to say famous people, but you have a lot of people that I feel have done stuff, and I felt like I wasn't really on that level, but. Um, it's nice, it's really nice to see that you have this platform for even for people like me who may not feel like I feel like I don't have the impact that, you know, Master Sergeant Simmons or Sergeant First Class Green or even Sergeant Major Knapp has. You know, but it is refreshing that I'm able to tell my story. I'm able to give my experience and kind of give somebody who may be on the fence, who may be thinking about airborne air assault, who may be thinking about, oh, I want to be a sergeant major, who may be thinking about even getting out. They may be like, no, I'm gonna stay in because I want to be like her, right? So I appreciate you. I appreciate the audience. Yeah, this was great. This was a great experience for me.
Well, so there's a couple things I want to say in my closing comments. First and foremost, I agree with this comment right here because the thing about influence doesn't have a rank,
Mhm.
and I am uh, the perfect example for that. Young staff sergeant started this platform
Mhm.
this year. The Army's birthday will be 9 years ago. I started this platform. Never in the 9 years or the 44 years that I've been in existence did I think that this platform would blow up. It wasn't even meant to blow up. Well, I'm not going to say that it wasn't meant, because that was purpose, that was destiny. I never thought that it would blow up to the place that it is right now. So you do bring a certain influence that a Master Simmons may not have, or that a SMA Grinston may not have, or a Chief Bass or a Command Sergeant Major Knapp that may have, because at your level right now, you have first information of what the soldiers are saying, and you're changing the culture by influencing others to let them know that, hey, it's okay to, you know, open up and talk to people. So you definitely have that influence. Next thing I would tell you is never measure your success using somebody else's ruler.
Yeah.
Because what worked for them at the time that propelled them to be in those specific positions may not necessarily be what's going to propel you to your next position. I believe that you are designed for greatness. I believe that you are positioning yourself to have one of those key senior leader positions. And I believe as long as you stay in the military and you continue on the path that you're on, you're going to be great. And one thing I will give, as far as like, and I don't feel like I need to tell you this, but I'm going to say it on camera because they may be meant for somebody else. When you get to this next position, when you get to that key senior enlisted leader, words matter. You see what I'm saying? When you get to the next position, don't stop being TAKEYSHA. Don't stop being the leader that you are right now. Don't change for nobody, because SMA Tilly said it best. When some people get to these positions, they head swell up and they forget from they came. So there are people right now, and I like that. My battle buddy just said, put that comment back up. Believe it or not, she has seniors looking up to her now, because there are some, and this is no slight to them, but there are some senior leaders that have not been on this show that wish to come on this show. And so you have a dynamic that we saw that we wanted to bring you on, and we wanted to highlight you. So never sell yourself short, because you're a great, awesome leader. You out there doing great things for the Army. I will say this: I enjoyed having you on the show. When we first reached out to you, I ain't gonna tell everybody, but listen, y'all, when I tell you, when we first reached out to her, I know Mary. What's going on, Miss Mary? That is one of my favorite. I'll never have to worry about Miss Mary's gonna catch it. Miss Mary's gonna catch the show. But listen, y'all, I'm just gonna give a little increment of it. So when we first reached out to her and told her, hey, we want her to be on the show, oh my God. The first thing I thought was a kid in the candy store on Christmas.
I was excited. Yes.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. And I'm telling y'all,
very excited.
In a sense, I was like, all right, you just coming on Ncopd Live. Like, you know, but I realized some people do, they feel when if they get on this show that they feel like that they have become. And we want to give people the opportunity to come on this show and say, hey, I was on Ncopd Live. And I do believe that this is just another stepping stone to help propel you to your next position of greatness. So continue to be you. Never use somebody else's ruler measuring. Never measure your success using somebody else's ruler. And then when you get to where you're going to be, just continue to be you. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Ncopd Live. Listen, like I said, a couple of admin notes. Next week, I will be broadcasting Ncopd Live from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm super excited about being up there. So honestly, a fun fact about TPSGL, I've never been to New Orleans. And it's funny. The Great Session Song, First Class 6 Song Washington. She is a very inspiring leader. The thing about it, so I've never been to New Orleans. Now I've heard about Mardi Gras and all of that, and you know, what is it? I think they be having like the Battle of the Bands down there. Look out for Song First Master Harold. She's gonna be on the show. So you got another sister that's watching that's gonna be on the show later on in the month. She's one of those phenomenal leaders out there as well. So I've never been to New Orleans. And wouldn't it be just befitting that the first time I get to go is I got to go for the Army? What is that? You know, I got to find time for me to be able to go to the Army. But we'll be in New Orleans next week, and looking forward to a great show. We will have Master Sergeant Tanisha Baldwin, the branch sergeant major for, oh man, what is that? What is that branch? Oh man, if she's watching, she is gonna talk about me. I know is the 42 alphas, finance, all of them AG professionals, and I just know I know she is fixing to talk about me if she's watching this show, because I forget what her branch is. But we'll have her on the show next week. I'm looking forward to having her. And listen, y'all know the motto: if you see something wrong and you fail to do something about it, then you have just created a new standard. And at the end of the day, their issue is never with you, but their issue is with the standard. This has been yours truly, Song First Class 6, #D Professional SGL, with tonight's special guest, the one and only Song First Class TAKEYSHA Washington from Fort Belvoir, Virginia. We will be seeing y'all next week. Y'all have a good night. On behalf of my advisors, the Ncopd Live team, we would like to thank tonight's special guests and for all of you that have tuned in to tonight's show. Until next week, we'll be seeing you soon. Have a great evening.